Because that energy ball is within our energy field, that vibration is still emitting from that ball of protection, that wall that you built up. So it might bring up more events that trigger that emotion to be able, because your mind, body, you want to heal. Hey mama, welcome to Naturally Empowered Living, your safe space to guiding you on your unapologetic self-awakening journey to learning your energy of alignment and feeling good again. This is your weekly sanctuary to wake up from autopilot and transform the way you approach motherhood and life through the power of meditation, energetics, and root cause therapy. It's my mission to help you embody the foundations of self-love, trust, and interconnection to be unapologetic in the evolution of who you are. Here, we honor all parts of ourselves, the messy and the magic, the shadows and the light. If you are ready to get to the roots of cultivating real change, warm up that cold coffee, pop in your earbuds, and tighten that top knot, mama. Let's discover our power within together. Hello, beautiful. Happy episode 111 on 11/11/111/11/11/24. But still, like how beautiful is that? I noted that, and I was just like, I have to note that, timestamp it within this episode. That was just awesome how that divinely placed for this episode. I am very passionate about the topic that we are going to talk about today, that is about emotions. And I thought that I would create a little bit of an educational episode for you. Also, though, for you to take away what resonates with you, to be able to help yourself in understanding emotions a little bit more. And you're probably like, emotions? I know emotions. I have emotions. There's just, and again, speaking to someone that like goes in the depths, goes down these rabbit holes, within emotions and learning and psychology and all these things. Like there is so much depth to, that surface level of emotions, happy, sad, angry. I go to the doctor and on the scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling, right? But for you to be able to understand them yourself, to understand your emotions and kind of have some narratives and explanations on hand for maybe how you're feeling, how you're reacting, how you're responding, how a trigger has formed. Emotions are incredible. Like they are a part of our life experience. They're a communication method for ourselves. They're a guidance system. And emotions, they're necessary. All emotions, like the whole strain of them, right? The good, the bad, the ugly. But where it becomes a problem is when we have a lot of trapped emotions, stuck, unprocessed emotions, or we have emotions that get attached to past events, insert trauma, that are now not serving us, but are triggering us to react in certain ways, or, have those flashbacks or the PTSD, like within our behaviors, within our relationships, within others, ourselves, our reality, our life work. Like there's so much depth here. And we know, or maybe we don't know, or haven't ever really even thought about our emotions and how we live, think, react, do, intake, everything. Everything. There are so many layers and facets and makeup that create who we are today as a person, right? Like there's this, in my mind, I see like this spider web, right? These layers of like, there's so much that make up who we are, our DNA, our generational patterns, our experiences, the neuroplasticity, that we can change as we're growing. We have moods and temperaments and personality and psychological activity, physiological behavior. Like there's so many things that make us who we are. And one thing that's true, and I know that I've said this, our emotions, they're not good or bad, right? Like we have them all. They are a communication, a guidance system for us to tell us, to alert us, to show us, that they're communication for us. And we're never trying to get rid of certain emotions or bypass them. However, those compounded emotions, my beliefs and the services that I'm here to provide is to help you release those compounded trapped energies within your body to be able to live freely, right? Like to free up that stuck energy within your body from these unprocessed emotions. So let's break this down a little bit, because the subconscious mind, is what 80 to 90% of how we live in our current reality, right? Like the conscious mind is like 10%, okay? So the subconscious mind stores all of our experiences. So just think, like if we have a traumatic event, our bodies, if they were not able to process that event because our system was too overwhelmed, overloaded, it stores that emotion. It stores the emotion of how you were feeling in that moment. It stores that in the body. It does not store the actual event, okay? So when we have an emotion, it may be linked to a bad experience, or maybe we are punished for feeling that said emotion, or maybe we do have a traumatic event that happens. This is when we start to suppress. This is when we start to repress, right? Which is stopping that emotion from finishing, processing, moving through our body. That's how it gets stuck. That's how it gets compounded. And what also can happen is we continue to keep attracting or creating the same type of patterns or circumstances within our lives because our body, our mind-body system wants to resolve it. It wants to allow this to continue to process, to be released. We're not, bypassing, but to be able to allow these emotions to flow freely through us, to be able to process and release. So on the flip side of, continuing to attract and creating those same patterns within your life, you could also, on the flip side, completely shut down from your life, shut down, close off your heart. Like, this is really real stuff. Like the anxiety, the depression, the trauma, the PTSD, like this is real life deep stuff. And I'm talking about the root of it all, that emotion, that stuck energy within our body. And we can clear that buildup. So you can then use your emotions for what they're intended to be, that guidance system, that feedback for what it's intended to do as it's flowing through your body. Your emotions are feedback to our reality in the now. What is happening in the now within our lives. And when it's flowing freely, it's moving in waves throughout our body as it's processing, and it exits. It's supposed to exit. The tricky thing here is the more that we stop that emotional wave from flowing through our body and processing completely, that is when it begins to compound. And again, this is my beliefs through my learnings, my certifications, my education that I'm going through, obviously my life work, right? I'm so passionate about learning more and more about this. My beliefs are, this is one reason how we can develop mental health issues. We end up in this state of overwhelm. We end up having breakdowns to the degree of it affecting us physically, energetically, mentally. And if we're holding on to a lot of the shame and a lot of this guilt that I'll talk about in a second, that those lowest feeling emotions on our scale of consciousness, those are the lowest vibrations of energy. So how I envision this is that compounded, that stuck energy creates like this little orb of energy. Okay, I want to try to paint this picture for you. Think of yourself, from the crown of your head down to your feet, like you have like this pipeline, okay? Like think of, if you understand what chakras are, or just imagine like this pipeline flowing from the top of your head out the bottom of your feet, or vice versa, up through your feet, out the crown of your head. Imagine, just this free flowing, energy, okay? Now imagine there's like these little orbs of energy, like this little ball, okay? I see color, so you might not see color, but you can imagine like this orb of energy around that emotion. That, okay, you feel this emotion, and as it enters your body, it gets stuck. Okay, so there's this little orb. Let's just use your chest, for example. There's this little orb within your chest that gets stuck, and you keep having the same event happening to you over and over that's triggering this same emotion. And that wall around that orb is getting stronger and stronger and bigger and higher and more compounded, more dense. So your behaviors, your ego, your actions are consciously or subconsciously, trying to either avoid this feeling that you're experiencing because you don't want to re-experience that trauma. However, that energy within that orb, that stuck emotion, that stuck energy, it holds a frequency. And that frequency is emitting and attracting more of it. Does that make sense? Because that energy ball is within our energy field, that vibration is still emitting from that ball of protection, that wall that you built up. So it might bring up more events that trigger that emotion to be able, because your mind, body, you want to heal. Your subconscious, your conscious mind, you want to heal. Or your subconscious mind. If you're consciously ready to heal, that is a completely different story. But your subconscious mind wants to heal. So you're bringing up more events that trigger that emotion to be able to recreate the experience, to be able to finally process it and transmute it. But the more that it's activated without being worked through, that ball gets harder and more compounded. The new events get added to this compounded emotions. And in our conscious mind, we're thinking, why does this keep happening to me? And you get more down on yourself. But maybe we're not woken up to the fact of, let's process this, right? Instead, you're getting down on yourself. You're getting more hurt and more stuck. And it's just that vicious cycle. And in my beliefs, once these compounded emotions get so dense and so strong, it can move out of our energetic field and move into our physical plane within our bodies. And I have not touched on any of this learning, like, manifesting into ailment, like physical ailments. I have no experience in this. However, I do, to a degree, think that it could be a possibility, okay? But there is a beautiful thing called neuroplasticity. There's a beautiful thing, like what is done is not done, right? There's always a way to change and to rewire and to release and just heal, right? Healing that trauma, that stuck emotion, that stuck energy. And like, even though I just said, like, I have not dove into like that transitioning from like just an energetic standpoint of compounded emotions, moving into that physical plane within our bodies, turning into physical ailments. The certification I'm going through now, they haven't brought it all the way to case studies, but they see this a lot. They have treated thousands and thousands of patients. They are internationally accredited. They have seen physical healings from physical ailments like dissipating when releasing unprocessed emotions. And it's just such a beautiful thing. So emotional body to mental body. So emotional body, stuck emotions, having an event, an emotion gets stuck within the body, within your energetic field, and then it moves to your mental body. Maybe, you think about it, or you are avoiding it within your body, or your thoughts or your beliefs or your behaviors are being affected by this. And then possibly, if it's not being processed, it can move into your physical body, physical ailments, your health, and things like that. So emotions, think about this, they can either help us and give us energy, or they can deplete us and like take away our energy, right? Think how you're feeling. Some days you might not want to get out of bed. Some days like you feel on top of the world, right? And once we open that pipeline to allow the wave to flow freely when it comes, we're in alignment. If you have heard of chakra alignment, if you haven't heard of chakra alignment, this certification has nothing to do, like they haven't even talked about chakras, but there's just so much beauty in the parallels in, completely different education research that I've gone through. Like they're talking about the same things, the core principles, but it's something completely different. Like it's mind-boggling. And this is, of course, how I'm creating my beliefs, because I'm seeing it from all these different avenues, right? Like I'm seeing it from all these different angles. And that's why we talk about your energy of alignment, finding your energy of alignment. So emotions, to kind of reiterate too, emotions should feel like waves. Not saying it should be like an instantaneous, okay, I'm mad, boom, within a minute you're fine. I'm not saying that, but it should be feeling like a wave through your body, okay? You might be feeling it, in certain areas. You might be in it for a little bit, but if you're like sitting in it, if you feel like you are stuck in this ball of stagnation, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling like this ball of rage or fear or any other emotion, that ball is not a wave. And that is where we can work to get to that root of that trigger or trauma or response and release that emotion to allow the energy to flow freely again. I hope I'm painting this picture for you. I hope that it's making sense. And I also know like it's just really difficult because we can't see emotions. I mean, like you can see your expression or the expression of someone else, on their face, or how they're holding your body or their body, or how you're holding your body. You might feel more in tune or feel physical sensations within your body. But a lot of times, like we can't often see with our own eyes in this human reality, in this plane, we can't always see the colors of energy, right? Some people, of course, can, but the majority can't see the emotions floating around in your or someone else's auric field, right? So a little segue here. I work a lot with chakras within energy work, and I do see a lot of color. That's why I, without really realizing it, I kind of steered towards chakras because I started, or like chakra work, because I was just like innately drawn that way because I started seeing color a lot when I was within like my energetic certification and stuff. But I'm not gifted in like having a conversation with you at the coffee shop and seeing like what color your auric field is, right? Like, yeah, right? But I am also, human design wise, I'm an emotional authority. And it was a huge aha moment for me because I used to see it as such a negative. So I'm like, oh gosh, I can't make decisions like on the fly. Like I have to wait until I'm emotionally neutral. Like what does that mean? Like I felt like it was almost like a weakness. But like now I see such a correlation. I see such a correlation in my soul's work here in this lifetime because I've always been obsessed with emotions and how we work, how we develop, how people lash out, how people are on like a natural high, how people use vices and cope with different, vices or different substances. And the more that I dive into emotional work, the more I'm falling harder into this service of work for others. And it's such a passion of mine to help you begin to recognize and label how you're feeling, getting in tune and connected to your mind-body system, improving your emotional intelligence. Like, okay, so for example, having a conversation with yourself, if you're in the heat of a moment or if you have this emotion, like recognizing, is this emotion, is this one that I'm feeling now? Or is it an emotion from the past? Is this a trigger? That's an emotion from the past, right? It's triggering you. Feeling this emotion now is triggering you from something that happened in the past. And it can be very hard to separate the now from a past emotion. And another example, more tangible, I guess, in terms of emotional talk, like when you're upset and react out of emotion, you may regret it or feel bad later on for things that you did or said. Or vice versa, like if you're feeling amazing on this high and you said yes to like so many things, like you were in the best mood today, and then you come back to your neutral state and you're like, shit, why did I just commit to all that stuff, right? Like, I hope that you could maybe relate to both of those, one of those, but it works both ways. So just to kind of paint more of a picture for you guys, like how emotions and the roller coaster works. And reeling it back in a little bit with tuning back into releasing unprocessed emotions, this allows the energy in our bodies to flow freely so we can live in the present moment within our energy of alignment, okay? So there's a scale of consciousness. I mentioned it just really briefly, but Dr. David Hawkins created the scale of consciousness, and on the lower end of the scale of consciousness, you have like your shame, your guilt, and as you're moving up this scale, it's getting more to apathy and pride. And as you're moving higher and higher, then you get to like neutral, and then willingness, and then acceptance, and then you're moving higher and higher into your, your consciousness of reasoning and love and joy and peace, and then the top one is enlightenment. And it's just so beautiful because on this scale, like you have your levels and your emotions of the shame is correlated to like humiliation, and you might feel miserable, but then you like start eliminating and you start not, like you're obviously not taking action. It's like the lowest of the low. But then you might start to act out in different ways to cover your shame. And that's where that compounded emotion gets more dense and dense and dense. So the lower that you are on the scale, this causes us to physically feel this heaviness. And as, the law of attraction states, like it's like this boomerang, we naturally continue to get pulled down into these lower states of vibration and being. And then we tend to attract these frequencies, which can make us feel even lower and lower and reduce our, decision making, reduce our action. And it's a horrible, hard cycle to break. And it could keep perpetuating, attracting these into our lives that trigger us. And we feel like shit. And shit isn't even the right word. Like it's even harder than that, right? And this, of course, works in both ways. Like this works for our higher states of consciousness as well. Like that saying, what energy you give out is the energy that you receive. Like that law of attraction, it's a boomerang. And I will say, like if that was kind of just like depleting a little bit, the conscious or the unconscious mind, your unconscious, your subconscious is always trying to heal. It always wants to heal. And it can magnetically be drawn to people and situations which may trigger these wounds or these emotions in an effort to finally release and heal them. And what I can help you do is essentially help you release these compounded emotions, this compounded energy within your body to help break that cycle, that pattern, that habit, that continuation of attracting this situation into your life. And you can finally start to feel more peace, more present, more gratitude, more love, more joy within your life. And I'm not saying that what happens in our past isn't awful. Like we're not bypassing, okay? Your past, what happened in your past, it could have been awful, unloving, scary, demoralizing. The goal is to release what hasn't been worked through yet, these emotions, this energy, to be able to bring us back into the now, okay? And something to note here, like the big, deep, life-altering, traumas, like abuse, death, natural disaster, crime, like it's within our life work. And I could say, I want to tell you this wholeheartedly, it is within our life work to fully process and heal, to be able to live your best life. And that is not cliche in the slightest, I don't think. Like to not continually be triggered or reliving past events that have happened, because it's within your energy field that subconsciously, like like hopefully this is bringing some awareness. Like we're giving off a vibration all the time. And I know that it's hard to do alone. So to be in a safe space for someone that, that can help you through this process, that safe space to sit with you, to help you, through that uncomfortableness and that work for you to do this on your own. And again, this is not saying that other trauma is less than, or you don't deserve to heal either, like encompassing how you were raised or how you deal with your emotion or generational patterns that, DNA. It is all compounded stuck energy that's compounding, this emotion that's protecting you into that wall, right? Going back to that orb visual within your mind. And it's amplifying and intensifying until we process that trait, that habit, that trauma, that pattern, that emotion. That saying is so true. Like you've got to feel it to heal it. And many people were taught that it's not okay to do that. It's not safe. You won't be liked if you express yourself, if you express your emotion. Yet, like that's our natural guidance. It's our natural compass, right? So just think of bottling that up. How unhealthy that could be. And I know like that was probably a lot to take in. That's probably just, I hope that kind of gave you a little bit of a visual and some educational statement of emotion, like diving a little deeper into emotion and how we work, how we run. I don't say anything to like make you stew about, yourself or your past or, what you've done or haven't done. That's not it at all. Like it is having that awareness and that attention moving forward to live like your best life. I know that sounds so cliche, to live your best life, to be unapologetic in who you are. And it takes work. It takes so much work. So I just want to offer you, schedule a clarity call with me to talk through anything, to dive deeper into this topic, to share your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. We could discuss anything for free. Like a clarity call, you and I hop on the phone or Zoom and we just talk it out. I could help you. I could give you personal insights, not from a professional certified level. This is just you and me talking, okay? However, once we actually dive into a service that I do offer, that is a completely different story. But just to help you get a better understanding and to be ready to roll within understanding yourself a little more, or releasing your unprocessed emotions, or bridging the gap between your now and your soul's essence or higher self. Just feeling those innate feelings that we were born into, of feeling the peace and presence and confidence and clarity and belief and joy and love and balance that you deserve to feel within your life. And I am so proud of you for doing your life work. Like you are here right now listening to this episode. I'm so proud of you for that. And I cannot wait to possibly take your hand and take that step further and help you in your self-awakening journey to heal and to step into your energy of alignment. Until next week, my mamas, as always, simply be you. You have everything inside of you to learn your energy of alignment and be unapologetic in who you are. I'm sending my love and so much light.
Did you find this episode relatable or empowering? Peace, we Mama Vavio.
Thank you for spending this sacred time with me on Naturally Empowered Living. I pray this episode has brought you a step closer to tuning into your energy of alignment. And if it has, please consider leaving a written review sharing how this show has impacted you. Your feedback truly lights me up and helps other moms find their way to this community. And if it feels right, please share this episode with another mom who might be struggling to remind her that she's never alone. Be sure to check the show notes for more ways to connect and explore how we could work together to reclaim your power and deepen your relationship within. Thank you. I appreciate all you are and all you do.